Aging is not time, it is pressure. Let's start by offending a very old assumption. The idea that aging happens because time passes. That story is comforting. It lets stress off the hook. But biology tells a different truth. Aging accelerates under pressure. Pressure from stress signals, inflammation, and constant survival mode. Not from birthdays. Breathe. Inside every cell, there is a maintenance crew. Repair enzymes, clean up pathways, systems designed to fix damage before it accumulates. They work quietly, efficiently, until something blocks them. That blocker is not age. It is chronic stress. Modern science stumbled onto this by accident. Researchers weren't trying to explain wisdom or wrinkles. They were studying chromosomes. They found something unsettling. At the ends of your chromosomes sit protective caps, telomeres. They shorten when cells divide. That part is normal. What shocked researchers was how fast they shorten under stress. Same genetics, same age, different stress levels, completely different biological aging rates. This means aging is not passive, it is regulated. And regulation means switches. Now here's the twist. Stress does not damage the body directly. It changes the signals the body listens to. Under stress, the body assumes danger. Danger shuts down repair. Repair shuts down longevity. Not because the body is stupid, but because survival takes priority over maintenance. That's not a flaw. That's design. The problem is not that stress exists. The problem is that it never turns off. So the real question is no longer, how do I slow aging? The real question becomes, what turns stress signaling down and repair signaling back on? Ancient systems answered this through sensation and practice. Modern science answered it through molecules and nerves. Different languages, same switches. And here's the good news that sounds fake until you test it. You don't need to add anything. No supplements, no hacks, no heroic effort. Longevity is not something you earn. It is something you allow. When stress signals drop, repair resumes automatically. The body remembers how to heal. It never forgot. Breathe. So aging is not an enemy. It is a feedback report. And in the next chapter, we'll look at the master circuit that reads that report and decides whether your body repairs or deteriorates. Breathe to that. Stress is the master aging signal. Now we zoom in, because this is where the mechanism becomes unavoidable. Your body does not age randomly. It ages in response. Every moment, your nervous system is asking one question. Is it safe to repair? Or do I need to survive? Breathe. When the answer is danger, even imaginary danger, the body flips into defense mode. Cortisol rises. Inflammation increases. Blood is redirected. Repair is postponed. Not canceled. Postponed. Here's the darkly funny part. Your body does not care if the threat is real. A predator, a deadline, a notification, a memory you keep replaying like a bad TV show. Stress is stress. The chemistry is identical. This is where Nobel Prize science enters the room and ruins excuses. Researchers discovered that chronic stress shortens telomeres, those protective caps at the ends of chromosomes that determine how fast cells age and die. Not trauma once, not effort, chronic stress, which means aging is not a clock, it is a stress meter. Same age, same DNA, different stress baseline, different biological age. Now comes the part that changes everything. Stress does not just speed aging, it blocks repair pathways. Autophagy slows. Mitochondria degrade. Inflammatory cytokines rise. Cells accumulate damage they were designed to clean. This is why people can eat well, exercise, meditate occasionally, and still feel like they're rusting from the inside. Because stress signaling overrides good habits. And here's the key insight. Stress is not an emotion. It is a nervous system setting, a baseline. If the baseline stays high, repair never fully turns on. Longevity doesn't require extreme discipline. It requires changing the baseline. This is why willpower fails. You cannot think your way out of a nervous system state. You have to access the control line. And that control line is not in your thoughts. It's in your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the body's main brake pedal. When it activates, cortisol drops, inflammation drops, heart rate slows, blood pressure normalizes, and most importantly, the body receives permission to repair. Ancient systems mapped this intuitively. Modern science mapped it chemically. Same circuit. So aging is not about fighting the body. It's about convincing it that the war is over. Breathe. In the next chapter, we'll look at how one nerve, one signal, decides whether your cells clean themselves or slowly decay under stress. Breathe to that. The vagus nerve decides how fast you age. Now we touch the switch itself, the one that decides whether time feels like erosion or renewal. Breathe. Inside your body runs a single nerve that quietly governs everything you think aging is. The vagus nerve. It is not poetic. It is not mystical. It is anatomical authority. This nerve connects your brain to your heart, lungs, gut, immune system, and hormones. It reads the environment and asks one question on repeat. Are we safe enough to repair? If the answer is no, the body stays in defense. If the answer is yes, repair turns on automatically. This is not belief. This is biology. When the vagus nerve is active, cortisol drops. Inflammation shuts down. Blood pressure stabilizes. The immune system stops attacking itself like it's bored. Most importantly, cellular cleanup resumes. Autophagy activates. Damaged proteins are recycled. Mitochondria recover efficiency. Cells stop dragging yesterday's damage into today. This is why vagal tone predicts longevity better than motivation, discipline, or genetics alone. Here's the uncomfortable part. Most people live with a suppressed vagus nerve. Not because they are broken, but because modern life keeps telling the body, stay alert. Emails, news, noise, pressure, even ambition. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between danger and urgency. So it chooses defense. Defense feels productive, it feels sharp, it feels important. It also accelerates aging. Dark humor moment. People think relaxation is laziness. Their cells disagree. Now here's where ancient wisdom steps in without microscopes. Taoist systems observed that vitality returned when the body entered deep calm without collapse. Not sleep, not exhaustion. Calm alertness. They didn't know the word vagus. They felt its effects. Science caught up centuries later and confirmed the same thing. Activate the vagus nerve and the body shifts from survival to service. Service to repair. Service to longevity. So aging is not about adding effort. It is about removing the signal that says, not now. The vagus nerve is that signal. And here's the hopeful part. You don't need to stimulate the entire system at once. You only need access points. Places where the body listens quickly and responds deeply. In the next chapter, we'll look at two such access points that ancient practitioners found through sensation and modern science validated through data. Two places where touch becomes instruction and the body remembers how to heal. Breathe. Breathe to that. Where the body listens first. Now we get practical, but not mechanical, because the body does not respond to commands. It responds to signals. Breathe. Your nervous system is not democratic. It has priority channels, places where information enters faster, deeper, with less debate. Ancient practitioners didn't call these points by accident. They noticed that certain places on the body behaved like switches. Touch them, and the whole system replied. Not because of belief, because of wiring. Modern science now explains what sensation revealed. Some regions of the body are dense with nerve endings, vascular networks, and connective tissue pathways that communicate directly with autonomic control centers. When these areas are stimulated, the message bypasses conscious thought. It goes straight to regulation. Two of these access points sit quietly on the legs, ignored, unimpressive, which is usually where the most powerful things hide. The first is known traditionally as ST36, the second as SP6. Forget the names for a moment. Think of them as permission points. When they are activated, the body receives a simple instruction. It is safe enough to repair. ST36 speaks to the cells. It tells them to clean house, metabolize waste, recycle damaged components, shift from emergency metabolism to maintenance. SP6 speaks to the system. It calms the background noise. Hormonal turbulence settles. Inflammatory alarms quiet. The nervous system exhales. One cleans the room, the other turns off the siren. Here's the part that sounds mystical until you understand feedback loops. If you clean cells in a stressed system, repair is partial. If you calm the system without cleanup, the relief is temporary. Together, they create coherence. Hermetic wisdom described this as order below and harmony above. Modern language calls it system-wide regulation. Dark humor moment. People chase longevity with complexity. Supplements with names longer than their patients. Protocols that feel like punishment. Meanwhile, the body is waiting for one clear signal that says, you can stop bracing. And it listens most clearly through places that evolved to transmit survival information fast. The legs carried us through danger. They still report safety. So when these access points are stimulated, the body does not analyze. It complies. Repair resumes, not because you asked nicely, but because the signal finally made sense. Breathe. In the next chapter, we'll look at how activating these 2 points together creates a synergy that changes not just how you feel, but how fast your biology ages. Breathe to that. Where the body listens first. Now we get practical, but not mechanical, because the body does not respond to commands. It responds to signals. Breathe. Your nervous system is not democratic. It has priority channels, places where information enters faster, deeper, with less debate. Ancient practitioners didn't call these points by accident. They noticed that certain places on the body behaved like switches. Touch them, and the whole system replied. Not because of belief, because of wiring. Modern science now explains what sensation revealed. Some regions of the body are dense with nerve endings, vascular networks, and connective tissue pathways that communicate directly with autonomic control centers. When these areas are stimulated, the message bypasses conscious thought. It goes straight to regulation. 2 of these access points sit quietly on the legs. Ignored, unimpressive, which is usually where the most powerful things hide. The first is known traditionally as ST36, the second as SP6. Forget the names for a moment. Think of them as permission points. When they are activated, the body receives a simple instruction. It is safe enough to repair. ST36 speaks to the cells. It tells them to clean house, metabolize waste, recycle damaged components, shift from emergency metabolism to maintenance. SP6 speaks to the system. It calms the background noise. Hormonal turbulence settles. Inflammatory alarms quiet. The nervous system exhales. One cleans the room, the other turns off the siren. Here's the part that sounds mystical until you understand feedback loops. If you clean cells in a stressed system, repair is partial. If you calm the system without cleanup, the relief is temporary. Together, they create coherence. Hermetic wisdom described this as order below and harmony above. Modern language calls it system-wide regulation. Dark humor moment. People chase longevity with complexity. Supplements with names longer than their patients. Protocols that feel like punishment. Meanwhile, the body is waiting for one clear signal that says, you can stop bracing. And it listens most clearly through places that evolved to transmit survival information fast. The legs carried us through danger. They still report safety. So when these access points are stimulated, the body does not analyze. It complies. Repair resumes, not because you asked nicely, but because the signal finally made sense. Breathe. In the next chapter, we'll look at how activating these 2 points together creates a synergy that changes not just how you feel, but how fast your biology ages. Breathe to that. When repair becomes your default, this is where everything settles, not with effort, but with normalization. Breathe. Longevity does not arrive as a dramatic breakthrough. It arrives quietly, the way balance returns when you stop leaning. When stress signaling drops consistently and repair signaling stays on, the body stops asking, "Can I fix this?" and starts assuming, "I always fix this." That assumption changes everything. Because biology follows defaults. What repeats becomes baseline. What becomes baseline defines how fast you age. At first, activating repair feels noticeable. Sleep deepens. Breathing slows. The mind feels less crowded. Then something subtler happens. The body stops overreacting. Inflammation no longer spikes at every inconvenience. Recovery becomes faster. Energy stops swinging wildly like a bad mood. And eventually, it stops feeling like a practice. It feels normal. This is the moment people miss. They expect longevity to feel special, sacred, intense. But when it works, it feels ordinary. And ordinary is powerful. Because what feels ordinary does not require motivation. It requires no discipline. It requires no belief. It runs in the background like breathing or digestion or healing a small cut without consulting you. Hermetic wisdom described this as returning to the natural order. Modern science describes it as restoring parasympathetic dominance and uninterrupted repair cycles. Same outcome, different dialect. Here's the final reframing. You did not slow aging. You stopped accelerating it. You did not force longevity. You removed interference. You did not add years to life. You gave life permission to stop wasting itself on stress. Dark humor to close this properly. The body never needed your help. It needed you to stop panicking. When the alarm is quiet, repair is automatic. So longevity is not a hack. It is a truce. A quiet agreement between you and your biology that says, we are safe enough now. Breathe. When that agreement becomes daily, aging changes speed. Not because time obeyed you, but because stress finally let go. And that is the real switch. Breathe to that.